we have to start looking global about who to have kids with. It doesn't have to be kids with. It doesn't have to be someone in America.
Yeah. So how have you been doing? You're over in Germany. Um,
Yes.
let's well, thank you guys for watching another episode of Daddy Issues. First off, and Jason, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself and kind of let them know where you're at, what you're doing, and talk a little bit about your story if you want.
All right, let's get it started. My name is
Cool.
Jayson Washington. I'm from Langston, Oklahoma, but I've been here in pretty much Berlin, Germany for the last 10 years, and pretty much been a traveling restaurant worker, bartender, event promoter, all that silly stuff for my entire career.
When did you get out of the business, or why did you get out?
Right before the pandemic, like I said, it was just during the time I had to make a choice. I felt that me and my ex, we had just had our second child, my son, and I felt that the relationship was going the wrong path. And I felt that working in a bar and working in restaurants was not going to help get us on the path that we needed to be. I told her, we love each other, but we don't like each other.
Mm.
And with me being a black man in Germany, everyone knows the story, or they think we're cheaters and everything. And I was getting flirted with a lot by, women in the bar, and me and my ex were not seeing eye to eye. And I was like, I'm not going to introduce cheating into this equation. So I
Yeah.
just said, let me just stop working. We had just moved into a house, and let me kind of focus on getting the house right. And then once we finish that, then I can go back to bartending and working, no problem. But so I had stopped working to kind of save the relationship, I feel.
What was the point? What was the breaking point of like you and your ex? Like, what made it be like, okay, we're done. This is it.
I think I'm very blessed to know how to deal with women's tempers. And I've had angry women before. I usually know how to calm them down or make them laugh or turn the tables. But with my ex, she had hit me a few times in the relationship. And I always expressed to her, like, hey, once again, this black man, white woman, if I ever hit you back, we know how this story goes. Um, you're playing with my fatherhood. If I hit you back, and she was like, I never call the police. Like, it doesn't matter. Your family might. If I ever hit you back, I'm deported. I'm not going to see my children again. And it was first thing in the morning, and she was yelling about me putting eggshells in the wrong container because I'm American, I don't recycle. And she got mad. And again, this is post, and she hit me in the face. And for the first time, I almost hit her back, but I got like this vision of my daughter, who was 3, coming out the room and seeing me standing over her mom, bloody. And I was like, okay, no, this will not. I have to go. As much as I loved my ex, I couldn't trust her with her temper to take care of my fatherhood. She kept putting me in positions that would have jeopardized it, I feel. So I just said, I have to leave.
Yeah, and she's born and raised in Germany.
Yes.
Your ex, right?
Yes.
So I mean that's a huge concern because yeah, if anything happens, it's like you go back home, and then
Yes.
you don't see your kids anymore. That's a huge
Yeah.
concern.
I was warned by many military men about if a breakup happens, like if you go back to America, you're not seeing your kids. There's no kind of ways that the US government has any kind of jurisdiction uh over a German woman's and how she mothers and how she lets you see the kids. There's nothing.
Do they have citizenship? Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, not dual yet, because they would have to live in America for 2 years. So
Gotcha.
they have the option when they're teenagers, but I actually don't. I used to believe that it was important for the kids to come back to America, but actually, I really don't anymore. It's
Yeah.
a different world over here, and it's one of the things that's kind of unfortunate. The black community here, the German black community, it's super positive. And one of the things about the black community that is unfortunate in America is that it's not really great for your self esteem. The black experience is not a healthy experience, and a lot of things that you deal with in America, whether you want to say it's police or whatever, but a lot of the problems you'll have is with your own culture. And I don't know if I want to subject my children to trying to maintain their image to Black Americans. I think they'll always be having to prove themselves in a way that's not healthy. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, sure, I'll have them visit Oklahoma because I'm native and I want them to kind of embrace that part of the culture. But as far as them needing to have dual citizenship, it's not important. Really, it isn't to me.
Yeah. So how are things now with you and your ex? Are you guys on good terms, talking terms, and
Yeah,
how's
no,
all that
we are
going?
on great terms actually.
Yeah.
We co-parent very well. People ask us on advice on how to co-parent. I think it's one of those things where globally, most people don't grow old with the person they had children with. So it's very important because I had the conversation with her, like, more than likely, this is going to happen to my son one day. More than likely, maybe Jelani is going to end up breaking up with the person who gives her children. So we have to form the foundation of how to behave so that my son knows, if he's in a relationship and it's bad and he needs to leave, and he knows uh, how to act and cooperate after a breakup. And that's one of the things that I think many people and many of us we don't have. There's not many examples of how to cooperate in a not a passive aggressive way, where everyone's like trying to walk on eggshells and everyone's scared to communicate. We need more examples of healthy co-parenting and where people are allowed to be themselves. And I really do believe that it's strange, but I get to be the father that I really want to be versus sometimes being with my ex and I have to be the father that she thinks I need to be, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Where I'm on eggshells and I want to, now that we're broken up, I can pour in art and music and make sure that I bring my kids home to her every day tired, which she loves because she's a kinder teacher. So it's very difficult for her to go from teaching kids all day to then having
Right.
my two kids, and it's like she needs that break. So she learned that, okay, it's it's beneficial for me to be here because I pick them up first thing in the morning, take them to school, so she doesn't have to get up first thing in the morning at 7 to take them to school and then go to her job at 9. She can kind of relax, and then I'll pick my kids up and she can kind of unwind after work and then get dinner ready or whatever, and then I bring her the kids and it's easy peasy.
Yeah. It's funny how co-parenting, like healthy co-parenting, can go so well. Not only is it beneficial for you, but it's beneficial for the kids. And just like you said, your son watching a healthy relationship and your daughter, when they see their parents getting along, and even if they're not married, it's like, they take all of that in. They're sponges, and it's like they will have and know what a healthy relationship is and know how to treat one and know how to deal with one and know how to even get into a fight and get over it, and deal with all of that growing up when they see it. So that's huge. Hey guys, just want to let you know, head on over to patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth to help support the podcast and support what we're doing. That's patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth. You get a little bit more content over there, stuff that we don't post anywhere else. So if you guys are about it and you want to help support, patreon.com, Daddy Issues the Truth. Thanks, guys.
It's what we as fathers and mothers have to do because I'm always about looking at the bigger picture. 30 years from
Yeah.
now, it's going to be even crazier. And so most people are not going to be making it to the end of their days with the person they have children with. That's just the truth. So
Isn't that
it's
crazy?
on us.
Yeah.
It's crazy, yes, but I think it's always kind of been that way. I don't think that men and women have spent the amount of time they've spent with each other that we try to do today. Like, I don't think that in the past men were up or in the house with women all day like we are now. Like, men will have their code, they'll
Right.
have their man cave, but that irritates women. It does naturally. And I don't think
Yeah.
that men and women are supposed to be under the roof as much as we are trying to do these days. I
Yep.
really don't. I just don't. I think naturally you're going to get so irritated with each other that it's better to, my papa always said, if you have a house and she has a house and you both have the property, that's perfect, where you as a man can have your house and she can come when she wants to come, but you kind of keep it as your little thing and you can go over to her and see her. But when you're in the same house in shouting distance, then there's a problem. If you're in shouting distance of a woman's, hey, I need this, it's a problem. You need to have a
Yeah.
little bit
No,
of
I mean, that
distance.
it makes so much sense. It's just so alien to us. You know what I mean? To think that way, be like, oh, I'm still gonna have my house and you have your house, and we'll meet up in the middle or whatever.
But
But
again,
it makes
if you're
sense,
thinking of the big picture of how do we make it to be 90 years old each without
right?
hating each other? Like that's got when people say like what kind of man you want to marry or what kind of who is the person I can make it to 90 years old with and still be happy? And then what do I
Yeah,
need to do to maintain that? Does that mean we got to spend a little bit less time with each other? Probably. Does that mean maybe I need to rethink how I feel about women sexually? Meaning, like when I'm 55 and my sexual drive is not where it needs to be, but she's 50 and went through menopause and all of a sudden now her sexual drive has gone through the roof. I don't want to start taking a bunch of medicine and pills to try to get a hard dick. So does that mean maybe I need to be open to the fact to just let her have some fun while my libido is completely gone? Like I think we have to really rethink um, relationships so that they can actually reach the end of days.
yeah, that'd be a tough one. That'd be a tough one just because it's like it's the norm. You know what I mean? But
Let's say when you're 55 and you lost your libido, but your wife's libido is sky high. What do you do? Do you think you should be taking boner pills to give yourself a heart attack, or do you say, okay, well, you love me, you shouldn't embrace that sexual nature that you have anymore because you love me, or are you just realistic and say, go get some sex? I just want to be happy at the end of this.
right, no, it's tough because for me, when I look at it, it's like women are much more emotional. So like sex to them means something a little bit more than it does to a guy. A guy can have sex and it is what it is. But the way I look at it is like a woman, it's more intimate. It means something more. So if she's off having sex, and I 100% get what you're saying, but if she's
Mhm.
off having sex, and is she gonna feel some type of way with the guy she's having sex with? Is this like a one-time thing, or are they eventually gonna be get into a relationship, and then now you and her are done because you're letting her kind of do her thing?
Women are water. If I found in my relationships in the past, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I want to have all these open relationships. But I've always said,
Yeah.
like, if you want to do what you want to do. Like, I don't care. But once I'm done with you, I have the right to be done with you. I mean, if you want to be done with me, you have the right to be done with me. And but if we're old and the woman truly loves me and she has the goal to grow old with me and she wants to go have some sex, that guy just wants to rent her. That guy
Right.
maybe just wants
Right.
to borrow her. He doesn't want to take on the responsibility and really like, you know, clip her toenails when she's so.
Right.
If a woman knows that I'm there for that, and she's going to do the same thing for me, she's going to be popping my little liverwort to my back one day. If that's the goal, then I think the sex is not important to me. Maybe I'm sexually autistic. I've never been so wound up with, oh, this is my pussy. It's not my pussy. It's not. Like,
Right.
it's not. All that crazy dirty talk you do. Like, whose pussy is it? I'm always in
Right.
my
Right.
head like, it's not mine, you little liar. But that's always how I looked at it as a bartender. I've always seen older people having these issues, and the people who I found who have really made the lifelong connections were the people who a little bit psychedelic takers, but also understood the bigger picture that is cosmic. I want to see you, in this afterlife. So all this other stuff that we do on Earth is not important. Our spirits are, and our humor and we're intertwined. The children we made, or the like, all of that is what twines us. The sex is just sex and pleasure on this earth.
So yeah, I mean, we had some guy come on a couple weeks back, and he was talking about like polygamy, and then
Yeah, I
just like
saw
all
that.
these things. I mean, yeah, and he's young, so to
Yeah,
me, he was just, I mean, his relationship was just gonna go downhill. It seemed like
it is
with what they were doing.
polygamy is that's too much responsibility. A lot of men think they want polygamy. You don't.
Yeah.
Because polygamy is maintaining. You are working yourself into a heart attack trying to maintain a polygamous relationship. My mentality is just go do what you want to do. I don't care. Now, if you need to go away from me and be completely away, then by all means, go do that. But I really believe that, again, the goal we have to start doing is, especially with the way the climate's going with finances, like who can I grow old with? I'm even going to tell my son, like, don't have a child out of love. Have a child with the woman that's not going to give you any issues after the breakup, meaning that she's not going to ever play with your fatherhood. She's not going to ever do any kind of child alienation with you. And she's not going to expect any type of finances from you after the fact. If the breakup happens when the kids are with you, you spend your money on the children. When the kids are with her, she spends her money on the children. That's as logically as it has to be. And I think we have to start having conversations with our children, and even as men, start betting who our children are dating and having conversations with that side of the family. That's what a lot of people are so afraid to do. They don't have these connections, and then when the breakup happens, they need big daddy government to help them make adult decisions. It's like, no, didn't you meet that person's side of the family before you had the child? Okay,
See,
well,
that's
how come?
yeah.
Yeah, have you ever had these conversations before the breakup? And that's what I think is important.
Yeah, I think it's super important to meet the side of the family, see how they were raised, and all of that, because you're never going to know when you're in love with someone or whatever. You're never going to know, are they going to screw me, down the road. You're always going to be like, of course they're not going to.
But that's why it's great to meet women who have had that happen to their fathers. There's a majority of women whose fathers, they don't know their fathers, but there's also a small subsection of women who have seen their fathers hurt from what their mothers have done. And when those women get older, those will be the perfect wives, because they understand that a child just wants to spend time with their father. It's that simple. And all the extra micromanage. Well, he needs to send me money. No, no, not. A child just wants to play sports with their father and hear messages from their father. All that stuff from the mother's side. That's like, well, he needs to do this to see the kid. Like, no, don't ever use your children as a punishment. Like the father didn't do something. Well, now you can't see the kids. We have to kill that in our society. And I think the only way that'll ever happen is if there's like a huge global man strike where men of
Right.
all colors say, forget racism. Let's get these father rules fixed first, and then we can go back to hating each other. But we need to figure out a way where men just stop working. The police stop working. Every man just stops working until some of these things globally are fixed for fathers.
Yeah. No, the system is it's terrible. And we've had a couple of people on breaking down child support, breaking it all down, and it's like, everybody's making money off of this except for the father. The father's just getting beat down.
It's insane how much money people spend on lawyers, right? Let's say,
Mhm.
hypothetically, I'm married to a woman and now it's time to divorce. Okay, well, I got to spend, let's say, 15,000 for a lawyer. And she's spending money, like 15,000 on a lawyer for us to figure out how to see the children. Let's put that
Right.
30,000 in an escrow and let it accumulate. So when the
100%.
kids turn 18, now they have a set amount of money to do whatever they need to do. As logically, that would make so much more sense. But instead,
Yep.
we spend money on lawyers to have these fights because that's what society tells us we're supposed to do. It's stupid.
But then again, too, women with child support and alimony, it's like, not only do they, okay, I'm going to spend 15 grand, but now I'm going to get 2 grand a month from my ex because that's what he owes me or whatever it might be.
Well, he doesn't owe you. He doesn't owe you that. And but this is
100%, but
again,
that's how they think.
yeah, but there's one thing too. Again, I was raised in Oklahoma, so I also they don't do that in their like when when a native man divorces his wife. They don't have this issue at all.
Yeah.
Like it's night and day. There is no type of alimony. There is no type of child support. The father gets this. It's all about the father spending time with the kids. And there's so many bad fathers that have happened in the past that now it's like if you do that, you're doing better than most fathers. So let's start championing that. Where it's like if you don't have the finances, fine, but can you spend more time with the kids? And I would find that most fathers would absolutely love to do that. Whereas it's
Yeah.
like, hey, I I don't have the finances, but how about I just spend more time with the children? And I think a
Right.
lot of women don't want to give that, whether it's for power, whether it's for whatever. And
See,
then
I
that's
think it's a
how they're.
power thing.
Yes,
I
but it's
think it's
also it's,
100% a
it's also
power
a
thing.
power thing, but it's also a programming because society has told them that mama bear, that's what they're supposed to do. And we
Yeah.
have to we have to rethink that because again, it's not helping the kids, it's not helping the fathers. We just had Men's Health Month. I promise you, from years of bartending, this is the one thing that destroys men the most. Them not having the relationship with their children that they really wish they had. And the women are not. being accountable of how they have maybe self-sabotaged the relationship that the kids could have had with that father. And then they're mad that the father's not there. And it's like, it's very difficult for a father to pour in to a child that despises them. A lot of fathers just think, I'd rather just not be around because it's difficult to see that. It breaks your heart to see that, to see something that you loved and it doesn't want to talk to you. It doesn't want to know you. It doesn't want to be around you.
It,
That breaks men's hearts.
yeah, I mean, dude, I'm seeing it firsthand right now with one of my friend's daughters and her dad. Their parents got divorced. Her dad kind of was like in and out, but she just never wants to see him. Like, is just always like, oh, I don't have a dad, blah, 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 blah. And now he's kind of showing up, showing up. He shows up to her graduation, shows up to her games, shows up to all these things. And you just see it. It's like she really is pushing him away. He's still coming back, but inside she's sad. Like, because I talked to her, I brought her to the father daughter dances, and like, but inside she wants a dad, but she is so like just confused on the whole situation. Yeah.
That's one of the mistakes that I think a lot of men make, and I think it was one of the greatest things that I did was not leaving the town where my kids are. And I find that if you can make yourself an access, an accessory, meaning if you can, like, I live right by my kids' school, and I also live right by where they'll be going to high school. So the place where I'm at, I'm always going to be a benefit because when they get off school, they can come to me. And I think as fathers, we got to start thinking that way. We have to start putting ourselves, if they're going to have a breakup or the breakup's not, let me get me an apartment that's going to be where my kids are going to school. That way, when I can, hey, I'm trying to help my ex out, and you can have the conversation with her. Hey, I'm doing things that are going to make things easier for you so you can have relaxing time. So I have no problem picking up the kids, and we don't have to do this whole thing going back and forth to court. We can do this in a way that makes your life happier, so you can move on, so I can move on, because we both want each other to move on and have a happy life, not bitter. The breakup happens. It happens for most people that way globally. It's okay. Now, how do we move on? How do we show our children that we made these children out of love and we love them and we have love for each other, and when this happens to you in the future, this is how you behave. Because it's going to happen to them. It is. On a global scale, more. The same things are happening over here on this side of the world too. And the people who are married, they're married because they don't want to lose their stuff or they're not happy. And I think that again, that's why the goal has to be, who is the person that's going to make me happy at the end of my life? If it's not me, but we had children together, then thank you. I appreciate you giving me these children. I appreciate making these, and I'm going to always be doing everything to make your life a benefit. So because if you're a happy mother, then you're a better mother to my children. And that's how we have to approach it. And women have to start thinking too that when you're a happy father, you're a better father. And I don't think that women have had that click yet. That they have this thing where it's like you have all these responsibilities, but it's like, are you happy? Well, they don't care about that so much. And I think we have to start having conversations about women and be like, hey, if I'm a happy man, just like you're a happy woman, I'm a better father. So do some things that make me happy, as far as not just human being things. And me as a father, I'll do the same thing. And I find that a lot of fathers are willing to be more empathetic than women are when it comes to after the breakup. But we gotta change it, or it's gonna get worse. Again, most of us are born outside of marriage anyway. So
Yep.
and there's no, it'd be different if it was like, okay, if you marry this woman and you break up, you get more father rights. If you marry a woman and have a if you marry a woman, if you marry your children's mother and you break up, then you automatically get this. But there isn't. There, in fact,
Right.
you
There's no
actually get
benefit for the
punished
man.
more. So
Yeah.
it actually is more beneficial for you to be a baby daddy versus marrying a woman and having a kid with her. Because if the divorce happens, holy moly, you get hit even worse. So that's one of the things where we have to switch. If you want it to be marriage, then you have to make it a benefit where it's like, okay, I just got this woman pregnant. If I marry her and we don't make it, then I at least get some sort of a severance versus me just being a baby daddy and not doing that. So until that
Right.
happens, no, the kid. I've seen what happens to my uncles when they got divorced. Kids are seeing what happened to their fathers who have. So kids aren't wanting to get married. Kids aren't wanting to have kids because they've seen how it's destroyed us, which is all the plan of big elite anyway, because they want a population reduction. So that's why they're always. That's why this whole gender war thing is happening, because the big picture is they want less of us to have children, while people in other countries, third world countries, they want them to keep multiplying to keep the machine going.
Mm-hmm.
But first world countries, they want that's why they're pushing everything where it's making everything confusing, where people are going to be afraid to have children. And having children is a blessing. You're bringing your elders from the beginning of time onto this planet. It is that simple and that serious, but we've convoluted it and made it into this strange capitalistic financial thing when it should be, oh my God, I brought back my grandfather. I brought back my grandmother. I have reincarnated my lineage. Now, how do I grow this?
If you could give some advice to some dads out there about fatherhood or just anything relationship wise in general, what would it be?
The ones who are already married or the ones that are going, who are on the
I
other
would
end?
probably already married because I feel like a lot of these dads are maybe still in it
Okay.
or they had maybe just got divorced. But
Okay, for the fathers who are married, um, it's so much better to try to do this and make it with your child's mother. Only leave if you truly, truly have to, because your child benefits so much with you as a man in the house. Because I got lucky, but most fathers are not seeing their kids on a daily basis. And you would be well off to maybe eat some crow and rethink your philosophies if it's going to help you be in the house with the children. Because let's keep it real, when you signed that birth certificate, you signed a contract with the government and the mother. You, as a father, don't have many rights. You don't, especially in the American capitalist system. So a lot of people don't even read what they're signing when they're signing that birth certificate. You're signing over your rights. You've signed over your rights, and so that the government can do a lot of things to you that are damn near illegal. And so, again, stay married and rethink your life if you need to try to be in that child's life. And a lot of people will say, as a man, you shouldn't do that. But again, I don't. If you can't, then you got to remember that you made this family. And just because the breakup happens, don't fall into the bachelor mode of, well, now I'm 40. I'm going to find my youth again and see my kids every 2 weeks and start, hooking up with these younger women and start trying to feel good again. No, you started a family. Now, just because it didn't work with you and your wife, still, you started a family. So you're a family man, just not with that wife. So you need to do whatever you can to stay near those children, to stay in that city, to stay in that vicinity and be an attribute to the woman no matter what, because unfortunately, she has the power, and appeal to her side of the family and her men's side of the family, because that's where your allies are. She might have uncles or cousins or brothers who have gone through some horrible things from women. And if you can get those men on your side, you can at least have a cordial conversation. Bring the families together, because your mother has every right to be a grandmother. Your father has every right to be a grandfather. And many times, women will alienate you as the father and that entire side of the family. But if you have
yeah,
intertwined the families, all of it, then it's a lot harder for women to do that because they feel like a horrible person, because they promised your mother that they would never do this to her. They promised that they would never be this type of a woman. And her side of the family is also obligated to make sure to hold her accountable, to say, hey, why is that side of the family not seeing the kids? Why is he not seeing the kid? Is it because then her side of the family holds her accountable? And then, if we need to be, my side of the family can hold me accountable to say, hey, she needs some more money. You need to do that. Okay. And we have to
right.
figure out a way to leave the government out of this. Let's be adults. We made these kids as adults. We made them as adults, and we break up. We do not need big daddy government telling us what to do, holding us by the ear.
Yeah, a lot of the a lot. I feel like a lot of dads too, when they do the breakup, and they almost feel like you were saying, oh, I'm gonna go out party, get my youth back. And I'm cool with seeing my kids every 2 weeks, and that definitely is a problem. It's like, you're still a father no matter what
Mhm.
happens. It's like you can't just try to do what you want to do now that you're free. You're not in a relationship anymore, so there's still a lot to be done with the kids. And then even
Absolutely.
coming back to the marriage part, when you were like, just kind of stick it out and stay in there. It's like, is that prolonging the inevitable? Or like, do you think therapy is a good thing for couples to kind of talk, and because their anger is just going to build up, build up, build up until it explodes if they don't kind of tell each other what's going on.
Well, again, this is why I'm a big proponent of mushrooms. I really do believe that, again, I'm Indian to my core. So I don't believe that feminist therapists help. And unfortunately, a lot of therapists have been kind of trained in this ideology that's not healthy. And so when you go to therapy, if you go to a college educated therapist type person, a lot of times they don't have the advice that's going to help you make it to the big picture. What you might need to do is go talk to a shaman. What you might need to do is go talk to some Native Americans on a reservation who are together, like people who are lower in capital and lower in the poorer the people are. I've always found they actually have better lifelong relationships. So it's like you need to get some advice from them, and those kind of women will have different kinds of conversations with the lady because first world country wives they'll have, and the woman be like, what does that have to do with anything about you're putting so much stress on the man to uphold all this bullshit, the fight club mentality. Just let that man be a man and let him love the children and live in minimalism. Minimalism is so much better for a family versus trying to keep up with the Joneses and have all this $100,000 put my kids in
100%.
private school life. No, get a damn camper van RV if you need to and just roam. Like you, your wife, and the children are the only thing that's important. It really, all that other stuff is not. All the things in your house, none of it means anything. You could have a fire and lose it all. What you need
Yep.
to do is make sure that your lineage, the one thing that you've actually created in this life and made, your children, are the ones that you're pouring into.
That was spot on right there.
Thank you. If I
Yeah,
had a shot,
I
I would have
like
took a
that one.
shot after that.
Yeah, that was great.
What would be one of the things you think that people need to focus on or work on to make it to the end of their lives together?
I mean, my biggest thing would be communication, and I mean, you kind of broke
More
it down
communication or
perfectly.
less?
I think more communication. I think
Ooh, okay.
well, I think more honesty, honest
Okay.
communication, because a lot of times, you kind of say what you want your wife to hear, or you say what you want your husband to hear, but you don't actually tell them your feelings. You don't actually tell them like, I don't want you talking to these people, or I don't want you doing this thing. Or for the wife, it's like, I want to go out and I want to do something like with my friends or whatever it might be, and you're kind of holding them back. If you're upset and you're angry about that, I think it's like, if you want your relationship to be healthy, it's you need to sit down and have that conversation with your wife. It's like me and my wife would fight, and we kind of were both like, hard headed and stubborn. We keep it kind of bottled up, and then we finally sat down and we were like, listen, when we're angry, we need to talk about it. And even today, I went into work and I was pissed off because like people weren't doing what they're supposed to do. So I come in and I'm cleaning shit and whatever, and I'm just angry and I'm frustrated. And she asked me a question, and I kind of was like angry, not angry at her, but gave her a little attitude. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at the situation, but I'm just pissed. So don't take it the wrong way, whatever. And she was like, okay, thank you for saying that, because she thought I was mad at her. So I think that keeps the relationship when you're truthful and honest with the other person and tell them what's going on. I don't know.
No, that's really good. I've always said I thought less communication is needed to make the relationships last longer. But I think
Right.
you're spot on. I think it has to be more honest communication, because you can
Yeah.
sit with your lady all day and talk about nothing and watch TV with her, but that's not communicating. That's not being.
Right.
You're just spending time with each other in a very weird way. And I know we got to wrap this up, but we're having relationships with we're having open relationships anyway, but the person is our TVs and our screens. Like I got off home from work, she got off. Hey, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Okay, then you go do your thing, I go do my thing, and we're actually preoccupied with internet or television, and so we're not really preoccupied with each other. We're just kind of checking in, and then okay, I go to my game system, my TV, my sports, and she goes to her shopping and her whatever on Instagram. But we're not having these real authentic bonds. We're both distracted from the
Right.
matrix.
I think that's actually kind of tearing relationships apart quicker.
I was really thinking about you because I was like, man, like you're doing all these things, and it's like I remember doing this as a bartender, and we'd have conversations with a bunch of fathers going through this because
Yeah.
in the early 2000s, that was kind of like the only place for men to kind of have these kinds of conversations. And I was, brand new. That they saw me getting girls. They're like, they're the ones telling me make sure not to have kids in America. They're the ones telling me to,
Right.
hey, look into the socialist system over here in Germany if you want to have kids. If you want to have a black woman, there's black women here. So it was them that kind of planted the seed on start to think of the world and the next generation of how it will be. And that's what I'm doing with thinking of when I look at kids now. Like, okay, what will they be dealing with? What will the women in their generation be like? And if the women are bad now, I think the kids, the women that my kids will might possibly be meeting will be even worse. So that means I have to step up even more to be like, hey, and shield them from the typical modern woman. And we as fathers, I think we have to start having more conversations like that. How to make sure our daughters never do things that most women will be telling them to do, and how to teach our daughters to not listen to their female friends when they start, because that's where a lot of the
Right.
toxicity comes from for a lot of men. When the breakup happens, the woman turns into someone they never knew. And it's like, well, no, she's listening to her friends. And you have to kind of have the conversation with your ex like, hey, they don't care about our children. They don't love our kids like I do. So it's me, you, family, and that's it. Those are the only people we should be taking advice from on how we grow these elders that we brought into this world.
Yeah, because I mean, we need to fix that because now you hear about like all this like passport bros and stuff, and people, from America going to other countries and having their family there, and like, cool, that's great because you're getting a different type of woman, but it's like the problem is still growing and getting bigger here at
Yeah,
home. It's like if we can just fix the problem instead of running away from it, that would be much better.
yeah. I under a lot of people think understands about passport bros is this a guy I know. He went to Vietnam, and everyone was like, he's like, listen, that culture honors the elders. And he's like, I'm 60 something years old. Mike, if I'm in America, they're going to put me in a nursing home and forget me. But I come over here now, get a 30-year-old woman, give her one kid, and now all of a sudden I'm a part of an entire family tradition that's going to honor me until I die. They're going to
Yeah.
they're going to be caring for me no matter what. And that's what I think a lot of men are running away from with America. Capitalism does not go well for men getting old. And I think a lot of men have seen how their grandpas and how sad their last days were. And they're just like, you know what? Maybe I need to go look global and get a different culture that honors its elderly because they do not in America. And I don't blame them. I understand
Yeah.
that one, as an American, you have way more father rights than most. I have more father rights here in Germany than German men do. Like, but a lot of
It's
Americans
crazy.
don't understand that. A lot of the things that my ex, maybe if she wanted to try to do to me, the the German, like, well, we can't do that to him. He's American. Like I have more. A lot of things like she couldn't do. So
Yeah.
I think we have to do some more research and start thinking about again. You have babies with the woman who's going to not play these kinds of games with you. And second law, maybe we have to start having babies into systems that don't have that sort of a system. Don't have like that alimony. Don't have that kind of crazy child support thing. Like so in the
Right.
Philippines, it doesn't happen. In Ghana, they got rid of it. Like so, we have to start looking global about who to have kids with. It doesn't have to be kids with. It doesn't have to be someone in America because the most
Right.
important thing is as a father is you protect your father rights. You have to. You have to. It's the one thing on this earth that will destroy you if you don't. You'll have a
Yep.
breakup with a woman. That's no problem. But what she does to you and how she allows you to have a relationship with your children, that will be what breaks you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's broken a lot of men who have been on the show. So,
I mean,
yeah.
I know you do work. I know you own the restaurant, but I don't know how many years you spent bartending, but it's the one reason I've had to hold crying men. We don't have therapists really. We have bartenders, barbers, and strippers. That's usually the that's usually the
Dude,
man's therapist, you know.
you're dead on. You're dead on because we have these conversations in the barbershop, and then when I am behind the bar, I get men to talk about it, but I also get women. Women talk about it all the time. I mean, it's funny. You see everything from the bar. Like you see so much shit that happens. Like we have women coming in with different men 3 times in the same day, you know, and
Yeah.
we just sit there and shut up, but like they know it's like it's the
Yeah.
craziest thing. You see
Well,
everything.
that's the one thing too is like as a bartender, you start to learn what women really value and want as they get older.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of men still have this Disneyfication of what they think women want, and it's like no, they don't want that. Women don't, and I think women aren't being honest with themselves either. But I think we have to start having real conversations like what kind of person, what kind of life do you want to have as you get older? And be honest. And because that's where so many people are lying. And women have a sexual drive that men really don't comprehend. A lot of men really don't understand how much uh, sex and that feeling, that lottery ticket that women have in their hands, and how much they negate it in the ideas of love with you. Like, I love this man, so I'm going to ignore all of this energy and all of this opportunity because I'm in love. That starts to feel like a prison for a lot of women, and especially as you get
Mm-hmm.
older. So we as men got to figure out, how do we keep these women happy as they're older? Because they get cranky, they get midlife crises too.
No, man, thank you so much for coming on the
Not a
podcast.
problem.
That was an awesome episode. I'm glad we went live. I'm probably gonna start going live now on most of them because that was great.
Can't hold me down. You can't hold me down.